take a seat. We'll get the ceremony started. My name is Chris Winters. I'm the headmaster here at Greenwich High School. It's my honor to welcome you all to this event. Superintendent Korda, Board Chair Scher, members of the Board of Education, State Senator Scott Franz, First Selectman Peter Tessie, our distinguished teachers, and our guests. What a fitting setting for a Distinguished Teacher Award ceremony. It's a very distinguished setting, and we couldn't be more proud to have it here at Greenwich High School in our gorgeous auditorium. If you would, at this time, please rise as we do say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much.
It's the tradition at the Distinguished Teacher ceremony to have the host school provide some entertainment. That's a good thing when you're at the high school level. We are very honored today to have our percussion ensemble under the direction of Mr. Ben Walker lead us through on a piece that they've been rehearsing. Mr. Walker. Thank you very much, Mr. Walker and the Percussion Ensemble. They play many concerts throughout the year. They're all free and they're all here at the high school. Come see them play. Terrific group. The rest of the ceremony is hosted today by the Distinguished Teacher Committee. I'd now like to introduce the chair of that committee, Ms. Barbara, Pedisano. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Withers, and Greenwich High School for hosting us today for this ceremony, and the Percussion Ensemble. Thank you, that was exciting. We could see the notations back here and how it came together like that. I couldn't possibly fathom, but it was a wonderful performance. I would like to welcome everyone here today, starting with our distinguished guests, Superintendent of Public Schools, Dr. Sal Corda, President of the Greenwich Board of Education, Mr. Peter Scher, First Selectman of the Town of Greenwich, the Honorable Peter Tessie, and State Senator, the Honorable Scott Friends. Additionally, there's some people in the audience I'd like to recognize and thank for their support of our Distinguished Teachers Awards program. Please stand as you're mentioned. These very important people include Board of Education members. Those serving on our committee this year were Debbie Applebaum and Lauren Rabin, but we're happy to have the support of all of our Board of Education members. Members of the Board of Estimate and Taxation, members of the Representative Town Meeting, Greenwich Police Representative Lieutenant Gray. I'd like members of the Distinguished Teachers Awards Committee to stand for a minute, please. Okay, spread around. We also received invaluable help from the ex officio member of our committee, Director of Communications for the School System, Kim Eves, and Communication Assistant, Michael Antonaccio. And let us thank all our sponsors, the PTA Council and the PTAs from every public school in Greenwich, the Kiwanis Club, the Greenwich Organization of School Administrators, the Greenwich Education Association, members of the Distinguished Teacher Awards Committee. Thank you, sponsors, for allowing us to continue this fine tradition. Now let's take a moment to recognize all the previous honorees of the Greenwich Distinguished Teacher Awards who were able to be here today. Please stand. We are fortunate to be part of a community that values our teachers and chooses to celebrate excellence. Before we begin the presentation of our distinguished teachers, I'd like to give you some background information on this process. This is the 33rd year of the committee and the awards. The awards are based upon criteria that describe characteristics of distinguished teachers. In December and January, members of our committee make presentations about this process to faculty and PTA groups. The process then begins with parents, students, colleagues, and administrators nominating staff members for this honor through written recommendations. The teacher nominees are also asked to contribute information to a packet. I want to thank the nominators and seconders who brought these fine teachers and many others to the attention of the Distinguished Teachers Awards Committee. Our committee of 20 people is comprised of representatives from the Board of Education, PTA Council, Greenwich Organization of School Administrators, Greenwich Education Association, Kiwanis, and the community at large. Committee members independently review packets of information on all of the nominees and complete a ballot. At a meeting in April, the ballots are submitted and tabulated, and people are notified of the results. Making the selection was very difficult because there were many fine teachers nominated. If you look online at greenwichschools.org/DTA, you can find information about the process and the criteria for this award. Instead of reading the criteria to you, I'm going to tell you about this group of teachers because it will soon become very clear what the criteria are. They represent exemplars. You will hear about them and from them individually in a few minutes, but first let me tell you a few things about them collectively. An interesting feature of this group, and the committee did not set out to do this, is that they represent teachers of a diverse spectrum of students, all the grades from kindergarten through 12th grade, and of learning profiles students with learning challenges, and students in advanced learning programs and advanced placement courses, and as elementary teachers certainly know, everyone, all our students. While there are differences in their assignments and programs, we are here today to celebrate what they have in common: excellence. As we learned about these teachers, we heard many examples of the enthusiasm for learning they generate in their students. There were stories about ways that students put into practice lessons learned from these teachers. They bring out the best in their students, in their learning, in their behavior toward their peers, and in their feelings of agency. They excel at helping their students realize that by putting in effort, they can succeed, and that they can take responsibility for their own learning, all of which leads to their students' confidence in themselves that facilitates the development of their academic skills and more. It's not an accident or happenstance that these teachers have been able to foster growth and achievement in their students. These teachers are themselves diligent students of their subject matter and of their craft. They have continued to educate themselves through professional development offered by the school system and through many self-directed activities to be experts in their subject matter and in the most effective strategies and techniques for reaching students. They have learned about digital and other technological supports and how to use them within their plan of teaching. They collaborate with colleagues and parents. They share their knowledge with peers. Students, parents, and colleagues respect them, and they've made many contributions to their school and the district beyond their classroom. At this point, let me introduce our first speaker, Dr. Sal Korda, Superintendent of the Greenwich Public Schools. Dr. Korda.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the fun time of year. This is when we get to acknowledge all of the wonderful accomplishments of our teachers, our faculty. This is why we do what we do. So you have the official program, and in the official program it says Superintendent comments. I got the real sheet. This is the one that says Sal Korda comments on education and teaching, 1 minute. Live microphone in the hands of the superintendent. 1 minute? Really? But I'm not going to talk about education and teaching. I'm going to talk about teachers. I'm going to talk about those of us who made the commitment that we intended to devote our lives, what we do, to working with young people. And we come to that with a certain amount of hubris, the belief that there is something that we have to offer. We come to it secure in the knowledge of what it is that we intend to teach. We come to it with the compassion and the sensitivity to recognize that we have to look at each of our students and figure out how to get to what I think in many ways is the sum and substance of teaching, making the connection. We believe as teachers that we have the wherewithal to connect with others in a way that is going to leave them different from what they were when they first came into contact with us. Now that is a powerful, powerful statement about what it is that teachers do. But I submit to you that I have evidence to suggest that in fact that is what teachers do. So what is my evidence? Well, about one of our distinguished teachers, that teacher's student says, and I am trying to keep this anonymous, I like because he or she helps me learn and get better at things and be a better student. But here's the clincher. If I didn't have I wouldn't be the person I am today. From our students come the testament that what it is that teachers do is to connect, to bring our students into touch with a world that they don't know, a world that opens up possibilities, a world that can create a lifetime commitment and passion to be better human beings. There are 6 individuals who are seated here. I'm supposed to decide which one of them? That's not about selecting the best. That is about selecting a person who is going to be a representative of all that is good and powerful and wonderful about all of the teachers in the Greenwich Public Schools.
Thank you, Dr. Porter. Next, we'll hear from First Selectman Peter Tessie.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Each May, we gather to honor Greenwich's Distinguished Teachers of the Year. This is a program that I'm most happy to be part of. These individuals represent the best and brightest of the talented staff who are tasked with the challenge to nurture, instill and share love of learning and knowledge, as well as advocate for each of our most precious resources, our students. When a teacher prompts one of those aha moments in our children, that is a measurement of success for both the student and their teacher. Today we are recognizing 6 teachers in the Greenwich Public School System who have been nominated and selected as the Distinguished Teachers of the Year for their successes in the classroom. My heartfelt congratulations to Stephen, Victoria, Michael, Aaron, Bridget, and Diane. Thank you for what you do day in and day out on behalf of the citizens of the town. My heartfelt congratulations. It is essential that our educational foundation is built in part with the recognition by our teachers that each child is unique, just as each teacher and each of our Distinguished Teachers of the Year is unique. Each child has their own style of learning, their own strengths and weaknesses, which allows them to learn with grace and dignity, not only the lessons of the classroom and those contained in their textbooks, but the lessons of life as well. I believe that American historian Henry Brooks Adams was absolutely correct back in 1907 when he published the book, The Education of Henry Adams. In that book, Adams stated, quote, "A teacher affects eternity. He can never tell where his influence stops." We can only hope that the influence of all Greenwich teachers will not cease and will affect their students in the most positive manner for many years to come. Again, congratulations to our distinguished teachers and blessings to all teachers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tessie. And now for the main event. Our first speaker is Danielle Mannion, who, along with her son Harry, nominated and now will introduce distinguished teacher Stephen Babiak of Coscob Elementary School.
Between the tattoos, tarantulas, and Star Wars figures, you know right away you're going to get something different in Mr. Babiak's class. Boy, will he write. I may have nominated him, but there are hundreds of parents and students who are so grateful to Mr. Babiak. He's an artist, and he uses his endless creativity to find clever ways to engage each student. No matter what their learning style is, he finds a way to make them feel successful. My son, Harry Mannion, is one of them. Mr. Babiak is the all-time greatest teacher. He is fun and smart and patient and trustworthy and one of my best friends. I was never afraid to mess up with Mr. Babiak or be myself. He gets me. He explains things in a way kids can understand with tricks I still use. Mr. Babiak taught me that what I am good at is more important than what I am bad at. And at school I used to think it was the other way around. Now I am in 6th grade, and I hope to make him proud for the rest of my life. When Harry was going to 6th grade, he was nervous, and he said to me, I will look for Mr. Babiak in each of my teachers, and maybe they will see the part of me he thinks is special too. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. Good afternoon. First off, so I don't get yelled at when I get home, I'd like to thank my lovely wife and my children, Jack and Emma, for coming, the rest of my family, for their never-ending support, both at home and at school. I'd like to thank my 5th grade team, Katie Young and Christy Bennett, and the rest of the Casa Cobb School family. I see some of my students have showed up. Excuse me, that's awesome. Also, a big thank you to Dean Schmidt and Nancy Schwartz for their support and help throughout this entire process. Danielle Mannion, parent extraordinaire, thank you for nominating me for this award, and thank you for those kind words, and I agree with everything you just said. I need a second. Most importantly, I wouldn't be up here right now if it weren't for a certain person, Harry May. This kid gave me a run for my money last year. Harry, where are you? Stand up. There he is. I can talk about Harry and I for hours, but like Sal said, I only have a minute here, so. What I can say is everything that I taught Harry is pale in comparison to what he taught me. When I first started teaching, I was told that if you make a difference in a child's life, you are successful. Last year, on the 5th grade graduation day, when I extended my arm to shake Harry's hand, he walked right through me, even after practicing, and wrapped his little chicken wing arms around me and squeezed with all his might. That moment, I truly felt success. Thank you all so much. Thank you to the Distinguished Teacher Committee, the Board of Education, and congratulations to the other 5 distinguished teachers. Thank you.
Next, we will hear from nominator Jennifer Behet, who will introduce distinguished teacher Victoria Morrison Capielli of North Street Elementary School.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests, family, and friends. My name is Jennifer Behet. I stand before you with the absolute privilege and honor of introducing Mrs. Victoria Morrison Capielli. How can one describe Mrs. Capielli? Well, let's see. Take a little Mary Poppins, sprinkle in Maria von Trapp, add a dash of wonder and a yearning for learning, and mix it all together with love. That is the very essence of this dynamic teacher. Mrs. Capielli teaches with a knowledge base second to none, recognizes both the needs and achievements of all of her students, and engages them in such a way that they want to learn. The classroom atmosphere is immersed in positivity and a spirit of camaraderie. A child's beginning his or her education in this manner certainly has the foundations for success. Mrs. Capielli is the very portrait of an extraordinary teacher. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Victoria Morrison Capielli.
Yes, like Mary Poppins, I even bring my bag with me. You know, I wondered, for
a long time what to say to all of you today. And of course, I want to also thank all of the people who made this possible. My nominators, Jen and Dawn, my seconder, Alyssa, my administrators, all the wonderful parents and community members and colleagues who added their support through heartfelt quotes and anecdotal stories for my application. But in addition to thanks, I wanted to touch upon something that each and every one of us does. With all due respect, we work in an area of amazing teachers, teachers who are all distinguished in many ways, various ways and specialized ways. But the one thing that we all do collectively is to wear many hats. We wear different hats throughout the day to meet the needs of our students, that personalized learning. And so you wonder what may be in my bag today? Oh yes, it's a small collection of some of the hats that we all wear. Yes, the fire hat, because kindergarten starts out with putting out fires. And then we do a quick change, and we have a little yee-haw to get everyone excited and get ready to learn for the day. We keep everything under control, wearing our police hats. And of course, the nurse's hat takes care of the boo-boos and bruises, whether they scratch the surface of their skin or our deep emotional wounds. But all the while, we keep it light and fun, and we like to celebrate. A lot of celebrating. And then, of course, we cook up a good lesson, and we have to throw on our garden hats as we sow the seeds of education and help our students to bloom. And all of that's before lunch. Changing our hats, meeting the needs of all of the children in our lives. And we do it with a smile, because after all, they are what we are here for. And at the end of the day, when you get your nightcap, oh, oops, no, that's the wrong one, sorry. Put on your nightcap. Please know that my hat is off to all of you. Thank you.
Now we will hear from nominator Sheila Gallagher, who will introduce distinguished teacher Michael Galacciotto from Greenwich High School.
That was a very, very tough act to follow. Hats here. When we reflect on our past school days, I believe we can all rather quickly pinpoint that one teacher that made a difference in our lives. They went well above teaching us the subject materials. Instead, they connected with us. They treated us like individuals, not students. They inquired about our lives outside of the classroom, and ultimately, they taught us something about ourselves. Having 4 daughters attend Greenwich High School, they've been blessed with some fantastic teachers. But I can confidently say that Michael Galacciotto is that one teacher that my girls will remember 30 years from now. He connected with them. He knew their different learning styles and was personally vested in their success. He was interested in who they were and asked questions about them. Although only 2 of my daughters had Mr. Galacciotto, our whole family got to know him because of the stories about what happened in the classroom were repeated nightly at the dinner table. He really inspired such enthusiasm in my girls. It is clear that Michael Galacciotto loves the students and he loves his job. So it's no surprise that Michael is being recognized this afternoon, because when you find something you love, you will be successful. Congratulations, Michael.
Thank you, Sheila. I have read The Very Hungry Caterpillar to my 2 daughters, Grace and Anna, thousands of times. At some point during reading that book with them, it occurred to me that the journey of the caterpillar is very similar to the journey that our high school students go through, and really any students go through. At first, the caterpillar makes good, healthy choices. However, on Saturday, he stumbles a little bit. By Sunday, however, he learns from his mistakes and he recovers. And at the end of his journey, all the experiences he has prepares him for his metamorphosis into a beautiful butterfly. In so many ways, this story represents the journey students share with, or teachers share with their students. Teachers are in a unique position in that we have the opportunity to celebrate our students' victories and their triumphs. We also get to work with them through their struggles. And at the end of our time together, we get to witness the metamorphosis and growth that each undergo. I was fortunate enough to work with Mrs. Gallagher's two daughters, Katie and Kelly. And through the time we worked together, I had the opportunity to watch each of them grow into the wonderful young women that they are today. Through my experience working with them, as with all of my students, I've learned that helping students on their journey is the greatest opportunity we have as teachers. I've been blessed with many friends and colleagues who have taught me the important lessons about teaching. I learned early on from my mother and father, who were both involved in education, that the most important aspect of teaching is the relationship that exists between teachers and students. I have learned from my colleague and mentor, Karen Boyer, that constantly revising a lesson is always worth the trouble. I've learned from my two former English partners, Dwight Wall and my wife, Ellie Rich, that the content you teach and how you teach it are a critical part of being effective in the classroom. And I've learned from my newest partner, Sean, that it's okay to occasionally use the computer. Furthermore, I received great support from my former and current department chairs, Mike Batchelor and Lucy Arecco, and my housemaster, Bridget Berry. And for that, I'm very grateful. President Lyndon Johnson once said that the Great Society is not a safe harbor, not a resting place, a final objective, or a finished work. It is a challenge constantly renewed, beckoning us toward a destiny where the meaning of our lives matches the marvelous products of our labor. I feel very blessed for the colleagues I've had a chance to work with, and I feel very grateful to the parents like Mrs. Gallagher that raise wonderful young people like her daughters. Perhaps most importantly, each day I'm excited and energized by the students with whom I get to share my classroom. I learn from them as much as I hope that they learn from me. I am grateful for this award as I feel it represents and highlights the best part of what we do as teachers. Thank you very much, and congratulations to my fellow recipients.
It's time for us to hear nominator Virginia Plath Kelly, who will introduce distinguished teacher Erin Randall of Greenwich High School.
A teacher takes a hand, opens a mind, and touches a heart. This quote describes everything Erin Randall is as a reading and special education teacher here at Greenwich High School. She works with students who have moderate to more significant disabilities and behavior issues. In addition, her students have varying ranges of reading levels and reading challenges. However, Erin does not see a student's disability. Rather, she sees a student's potential. Regardless of their challenges, Erin has high expectations for her students to achieve their academic goals while also enhancing their overall high school experience as well. In closing, a parent wrote, Erin's involvement goes beyond her reading classroom. She stepped to head up the Unified Sports Program at the high school. Erin has in her ability to inspire kids of all types and abilities and enable each one to mature and grow in a fun and compassionate arena. She is a teacher who parent feels hears them, cares about their kids, and will push them to their limits and beyond in a gentle and persistent way. As for her colleagues, I can only comment that at every meeting, she is respected, her opinion is sought out, and is truly liked by her peers. She also goes out of her way to ensure collaboration across classrooms and venues for all of her students. Erin is truly a one-in-a-million teacher, and the Greenwich community is beyond lucky to have her. Thank you.
Thank you, Ginger. And thank you to Chantel Palumbo and Deborah Bella for your contributions and your support through all this process. As teachers, we're faced with the challenge of promoting growth and success in the students with whom we work and interact with every day. At times we receive guidance on how to do this, but most often we learn through our unique journeys and pursuits. Personally, I consider mine to be one that bears compassion, enrichment, and inspiration, despite the challenges faced along the way. During my first year as an interim teacher about 10 years ago in West Hartford, a teacher across the hall said to me, "You want to pursue a teaching job in Greenwich. It's the most desirable place to work." Now, having just moved from Rhode Island, I knew nothing about Greenwich or its surrounding area. But after doing some research and surviving the interview process, my journey at Greenwich High School began in 2009. On the day of my first convocation, I was handed a lengthy literacy evaluation on a student who I had not yet met and told, "Read this and come prepared at a PPT at 1:30 today. Oh, and the parent's lawyer and advocate will be there." On the first day of school, I was greeted by a student who tried to rip my earring out. I've soon become a fan of studs. My classes consisted of students with the most varied learning profiles. My credentials were challenged by lawyers who attempted to win at all costs. Some students communicated through assistive devices or very little at all, and one frequently hid under the desk to avoid having to read. I faced that all in addition to learning how to be an effective teacher myself. So desirable wouldn't have been the word that I would use to describe that first year. Challenging, yes. But then an opportunity struck during my second year that reshaped my thinking about teaching and learning. In 2010, I was asked to launch the district's first unified sports program here in Greenwich, an affiliated program of Special Olympics. And I want to thank Dr. Winters, Rosemary Ampha, and Dr. Termini, and all your help and assistance in helping me get that started, but also having the faith in me to believe that I could do the job. The goal was to integrate students with and without disabilities, to train and compete in a variety of athletic events. Therefore, to provide everyone equal opportunity to participate in something. It started out as a 3-season program with modified rules and equipment so that all players could be successful. Athletes in wheelchairs could score a goal with blocks with their feet. Students who didn't have the strength to score at a standard size net could feel like a champion when they would shoot at a modified hoop. But over the years, the unified sports has evolved into so much more. It's become a family, a collaborative network of students and their parents who've extended themselves in the most gracious and considerate ways. Pride and self-confidence are fostered through simple yet compelling gestures such as high fives or friendly hugs. I've learned that even the smallest bit of praise can enhance somebody's day, and how being part of a team or making a new friend can change someone's life. My level of connecting with students, both in and outside of the classroom, has not only enhanced my understanding of who they are as students and people, but has provided me with a more defined purpose and profound sense of belonging to a community that was once a foreign place to me. So the power of connectedness has truly resonated with me. And although there still exists obstacles as an educator, having something that I'm so passionate about provokes drive and innovation to discover solutions. Ensuring that my students understand that they are valued and capable is important to me as a teacher, as I have seen just how resounding of an impact this can have on one's learning and development. And that when given the tools to succeed, anyone can rise to the occasion. So if someone were to ask me today what it's like to work in Greenwich, not only would I say it's desirable, but it's a collaborative and compassionate community that I call home, and my students my inspiration. So thank you.
Next to speak with us is Catherine O'Brien, who along with her brother Patrick, I see Patrick back here, give a wave, thank you. Catherine and Patrick nominated their distinguished teacher, Bridget Suvansri of Eastern Middle School. Catherine?
When a pebble is thrown into a vast lake, it makes a ripple in the water. Miss Suvansri has been the pebble that has caused a change in our lives, influencing us in many aspects. In our experience at Eastern, we have found Miss Suvansri to be one of the most motivational and inspiring teachers. She pours her heart and soul into every one of her students and has earned the utmost respect from parents, students, and colleagues. Many of her former 8th graders, including my brother Patrick, have created the Suvansri Bar, in which other teachers are ranked against. Although several have scored high, no others have reached her top billing. We love that Miss Suvansri looks so happy to be at Eastern every single day, and the whole entire school is so grateful to have her. I am so proud to introduce to you my distinguished and just plain awesome teacher, Ms. Bridget Suvansri.
Thank you, Distinguished Teachers Award Committee members, my Principal Ralph Mayo, my colleague and seconder Laura Donnelly, and especially my 2 student nominators, Patrick and Catherine O'Brien, for recognizing me with this tremendous honor. Speaking of Catherine, she recently wrote a satire in my class, and in the story, her character starts out by declaring that she doubts anything she's learned in school will be useful in real life. As the story progresses, though, the character surprises herself by using some of the things she's learned. For example, she somehow gets a disgruntled landlord off her back by dazzling him with Shakespeare quotes. Then she figures out the volume of a theater to convince the usher to let her in to see Hamilton without tickets. Now, we all know that quoting Shakespeare and figuring out theater volumes are not helpful in these situations, but it's the absurdity of these examples that make an excellent point. What we teach kids needs to be relevant. The learning needs to have impact beyond the classroom. In my classroom, that means that students use their writing skills to contact community members or write letters to the editor to urge action. That students engage in academic competitions like Wordmasters or debate. That students participate in Level Up Village global collaboration courses to communicate with same-age peers across the globe. When we break down the classroom walls so that what we are doing inside of the classroom has impact outside of it, not only do we create a heightened level of engagement, we create students that won't wind up like the character in Catherine's story, a character who doesn't believe that what she's learned in school will be useful in life. As an educator, I continue to seek new ways to create relevance, impact, and engagement. Thankfully, I'm surrounded by so many amazing teachers at Eastern and throughout the district. It's their dedication and enthusiasm that continues to elevate my own. So thank you to all of you.
And now we will hear nominator Audra O'Donovan, who will introduce distinguished teacher Diane Taylor of North Mianus Elementary School.
Mrs. Diane Taylor has dedicated her professional life to teaching children with disabilities. And every student and parent is so grateful you did. As a parent, we all share the same wishes for our children, to be happy, successful, and recognized for their uniqueness. Often our children with learning disabilities face a few more obstacles in finding that success. Mrs. Taylor has helped our children believe in themselves again. Many students enter her room saying, "I can't." By the time they leave, they say, "I can." Losing hope is not an option. Their success is a pure result of Mrs. Taylor's love, dedication, talent, and a whole lot of patience. I know that when my child is looking into her eyes to seek the answer, "Am I good enough?" Ms. Taylor assures him that yes, you are. Every morning we pulled into school, my son looked for her car in the lot. And as soon as he saw it, he and I knew he was going to have a good day. There were also many nights we would pass school long after the children were dismissed and we still saw your car. That's our we Teaching our children to read is just a small part of what Mrs. Taylor is doing. She's building the confidence to withstand the many hurdles that they will face in life. Mrs. Taylor does challenge each child to reach their potential, and along the way she shows them how with hard work anything is achievable. Today and in years to come, Ms. Taylor, it is you who they will remember when they face those hurdles. I am honored to be here tonight to tell you how amazing Ms. Taylor is, but I am just the messenger. Her true partners are all the kids, including my son, Colin. who have forever changed their lives, and we are very thankful.
Thank you so much for this incredible honor. I'm very privileged to work with children who have learning challenges. Ignacio Estrada, an educational consultant, once said, "If they can't learn the way we teach, maybe we should teach the way they learn." I keep this in mind every day with every student. Each child is unique, and it is our job as teachers to find what opens their minds and their hearts. When I tell people what I do, they invariably say, "Oh, you must have so much patience." I'm not sure my students would agree. I set the bar high, but what I ask of my students, I know they are capable of doing. Then I stretch them just a little bit more. Their small steps are giant leaps for them and their families. When a little girl first blends sounds into a word, we celebrate because she has opened a door for a lifetime skill. When a little boy working on social skills makes a friend, it's greater than any academic achievement. When I reach something inside these children that lets them know how good and smart and wonderful they are, when they begin to believe in themselves, I know I'm in the right place. Thank you so much to my nominators and seconders, Audra O'Donovan, Liz Kitzelman, and Kat Brunswick, to my family for always being there, to my very special education team at North Mianus, who make it a fun place to work, and to the teachers who have always welcomed me into their rooms, shared their expertise and their love of teaching. But most of all, to my students and their families, you inspire me with your courage, your strength, and your spirit. Working with you fulfills me. Thank you so much.
our class of 2017 distinguished teachers. We are honored today that State Senator Scott Franz can be with us to deliver citations from the state of Connecticut and to speak with us. Senator Franz.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, there are three people who really wanted to be here today who are members of the delegation as well. That's Senator, I'm the senator, I guess. Representatives Fred Camillo, Libby Florin, and Mike Pacino really wanted to be here, but they could not be here because I believe right now they're on the floor of the House of Representatives fighting for your ECS money, Mr. Chairman. I'm proud to know. So this is my 9th Distinguished Teachers event, and I got to tell you, I think today is further proof that we have one of the best, if not the very best educational systems in the entire country. There's a real It all has to do with the depth of our teachers who are on the front lines every single day of the week working with children, and it can be a very challenging situation, as we all know from the war stories that we hear as well as the great stories that we hear. And they do a magnificent job, and the depth of our faculty throughout the entire school system is amazing. What we're looking at here is the cream of the crop, but there are a whole bunch of other teachers, it says below them, who are, hopefully going to get the award next year. We'll see. But this excellence also extends throughout the administrations of the different schools, and it extends to the Department of Education, right up to Dr. Cordes' office. It is all about quality, it's all about passion, it's all about really caring about the whole process of education. I think we all remember the teachers that made a difference in our lives. I certainly remember the 2 or 3 that made the difference in my life, huge differences. And there's no question that there will be hundreds by the time you all are done with your careers, hundreds of your students who will say the same thing at some award ceremony many, many years down the road because you're all so young, about the teacher they had in 2nd grade, 11th grade, whatever it was, and how they planted this seed or had this one-on-one conversation that changed my life forever for the better. Bravo, teachers.
Thank you, Senator Franz. And we are delighted to hear from the President of the Greenwich Board of Education, Mr. Peter Scher.
I guess I'm between you and a wonderful reception and refreshment. So I'm not known for economy of words, as my colleagues on the board will tell you, but I'll try. First and foremost, though, I think we really owe a moment of gratitude and to Barbara Pedisano on behalf of leading us through this incredible process. Thank you so much. There's something board members may tell you if they, we're all parent volunteers or we're community volunteers. They'll tell you about something they give up when they decide to get involved in leading the school system. What they don't really tell you is that you give up a bit of anonymity in your personal life. You wind up either at maybe a party or a kid's athletic event, a school event if you still have kids in school, or the one that's always helpful is when you're rushing around to get groceries at the instruction of your wife and you get stopped in the supermarket and someone wants to tell you something about Greenwich Public Schools. Most of the time it's great, sometimes not so much, but it all comes with it. But inevitably you're going to get the question, and we've all gotten it, all 8 of us have gotten it, is what's one of the most important things you learned about education? Because most of us are not educators by profession. And there's 2 things I tell people. One is, I've learned that the business of educating kids is incredibly complicated and complex. It's very, very hard. The other thing that you learn is that the real action where something really happens for kids is at the intersection of the teacher and the content that they teach, or the contents of the kids. So today we're here to talk about teachers, because nothing happens in the school system without teachers, really great teachers. And in Greenwich, we're fortunate to have a lot of them. But I was thinking about distinguished teacher. I was thinking about that phrase. And of course, I think I know what a teacher is, but the inevitable digital learning environment we have, it's always good to go to the internet. And if you look up teacher, it tells you it's a noun. And it is a person who teaches, especially in school. Well, that's not particularly helpful, because I already knew that. So then you might go look up the verb to teach. You might go look up teach, and it'll tell you two things. Impart knowledge to, or instruct as to how to do something. Well, that one was kind of interesting, but this one is much more interesting. Causes someone to learn or understand something by example or experience. And if you think about that for a minute, that is really the essence of what a great teacher, not any teacher, but a great teacher does. And then when you add that to distinguished, which is the other word, which of course is an adjective, it says successful, authoritative, and commanding great respect. And when I think about the six of you, when I think about Steve and Victoria, and Diane and Bridget and Michael and Aaron, I think of successful, authoritative, and commanding great respect because you cause someone to learn or understand something by example or experience that wouldn't have happened otherwise. You're a tremendous example of excellence in Greenwich Public Schools, and on behalf of the Board of Education, I congratulate you on being named this year's Distinguished Teacher.
We have concluded. Thank you all for coming to celebrate these fine teachers. They're going to wait here for a minute to take pictures, but the rest of you are welcome to join us right now for a reception in the Galleria outside the Performing Arts space. Thank you.